It looks like the border is completely out of control, and it's quite clear that the Biden administration is engaged in a policy of deliberately subverting our immigration laws. There's no two ways about it. This is not a humanitarian gesture, nor is it legitimate. He had a system that was working when he came into office, and deliberately has worked to destroy it so far. And now we have something like 4,000 illegal immigrants a day crossing the border. And at that rate, we could very well be approaching by the end of his term, or somewhere on the order of over nearly 6 million illegal immigrants by the next presidential term. And I think it's the basic topic I want to kind of address today, along with a few other things. Again, if you want to keep seeing these videos, please subscribe, and you can ring the bells for notifications, and forward to anybody that might be interested. So, getting on to this, that is a major situation here. The wall has been stopped, construction has been stopped, and yet essentially there are major gaps in the wall. There are places where small segments just haven't been completed, and other areas which haven't been addressed yet. Where it's there, it does work very effectively, but other places it doesn't. But if you're going to just let people in and accept any kind of lame excuse as a amnesty claim, and then let people enter the country and have jobs while a backloaded judicial system is trying to adjudicate these cases, it's just an unmanageable mess. And now we're adding to the issue of people are infected with COVID coming in, which perhaps is being politically overplayed a little bit. It's mainly significant, I think, in terms of how other people are being treated that are citizens of the country by comparison. I mean, you can see that there's a totally different attitude toward things that citizens of the country do than what illegal immigrants do, or any other travelers for that matter. So, I mean, this is just characteristic of the Biden administration, and add to the fact that, as I've been trying to emphasize here, that this is a administration that's going to stoop to any lengths to gain power by any means necessary. This is not, there really is no ethics on their side at all. It's a pure power grab any way they can. Then we have, for instance, this H.R. 1 bill that the House passed. I mean, this thing is an absolute travesty, to say the least. And I think that we would have to look at the situation from the point of view, that it basically would mandate everything that was wrong with the election in certain states in the last election to be done everywhere uniformly. No voter ID, basically mail out ballots to everybody. Remember, it's mail out, not in. The question is not that some people mail their ballot in. The question is that they get a ballot, and people get ballots that aren't even legally registered in the state. People that have left the state have got ballots forwarded to them from other states, like California, when they moved to another state. I heard a talk show the other day that had moved from California years ago to like North Carolina, and he got a ballot from California. I mean, this is the sort of thing that they would be legitimizing, along with a bunch of other stuff. And of course, I think for the moment, I don't think it has much chance to get through the Senate as long as the filibuster holds. Although now I'm hearing that Manchin is sort of weakening a little bit on that. And I guess right now the cloture vote is a very simple thing. You just have a vote and don't do anything. He's wanting to go back the old way. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, where you actually had to debate. Although I'm not sure how practical that is to make a change in the rule that way, but maybe it could be done. I mean, basically, well, I don't want to digress too much into that, but essentially, as I understand it, the cloture idea was imposed, I think, during the World War I period. If I remember, I did some historical research on that at one time a few months back, I guess because of the war and all that. And essentially what they did, they introduced the idea of the cloture vote, which meant that people could debate until they'd have a vote to cut off debate. Well, essentially what was in place before that is literally there was no cutting off a debate. You could just debate as long as you wanted to, as long as you could keep debating. I guess how long-winded somebody could be until they ran out of gas. So I don't know whether that's going to be the case or not, but it does indicate that there's still a risk that'll happen. And that's why, as I said some time back, I mentioned it's kind of a necessity that the Republicans tread fairly lightly in this whole process. There are certain strategic things I think we do need to, to fight for very rigorously. There's other things, even bad things, that we're probably going to have to let pass to some degree, just because otherwise, at some point, the Democrats could get so frustrated they will just eliminate the filibuster. And when they do that, that means simple majority votes. They can pass all kinds of garbage. That is a real risk that's coming forward. It threatens a lot of things. Not just, I think particularly in the area of Second Amendment rights and all kind of other things, these voting rights laws, packing the Supreme Court, and so forth. They're all issues that could come back into play. For the moment, they've been kind of negated. And I don't know, I think that we'll see how this big Democrat pork bill fares in the House. I assume it will pass the House. The only possibility I see for it to fail to pass the House would be if some of the more radical members like AOC and company deliberately vote against it in order to create a crisis, and then see what happens then. And I think that's the only possibility. Otherwise, they have the votes to pass it. And probably in some ways it might be best if it is passed, only because it would put this kind of stress on the situation in the Senate side that we really don't want to see. Yeah, it's a gigantic waste of money, but I mean, that's a whole different issue and how the country is headed towards some financial ruin in the long run. But the long run prognosis isn't looking too good in a lot of ways anyhow. I mean, and again, if we didn't have the whole issue of the reconciliation, of course they couldn't even pass this one. But as it is, I think that's going to pass. And I say, unless the far left people decide to sabotage it in order to create a crisis within the Democrat Party, in order to hopefully force other Democrats to do the things they want to do. And meanwhile, like I said, it's hard to know exactly how far this, getting back to the illegal immigration scenario, it's hard to know exactly how far this will go. I mean, like I said, the numbers, I was thinking of doing a little bit of an inventory, but there's certainly a lot of people south of the border, and it could easily expand beyond people south of the border to people in other countries going to Mexico in order to walk through. I mean, right now, I think we had some people that were just backlogged there that were in the Wait in Mexico proposal. However, these are mostly unaccompanied people that are under 18, or at least they claim to be. Again, maybe they're 20, 21, who knows. They'll say whatever they need to say, right? And so the point is, and they're being apparently kind of brought over by these coyotes, I guess they call them, and who when they encounter the Border Patrol, these people run away while the other large group of children, or minors anyhow, or then surrender to the authorities and claim asylum. They've all been trained to say certain things so that they can claim asylum, and our stupid system takes that as a legitimate thing, the way we're doing things. So it's going to be an ongoing problem, and exactly who's going to take care of all these people, I don't know. I guess, does this speak to all the depopulation of Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala? I mean, if all their children come up here, I mean, well, I don't know. It's not a good situation, and the problem is we're kind of at a state where there's not a lot we can do about it right now, I think, also. So anyhow, I think that's, I guess on the good side, I guess the $15 minimum wage got nixed at the moment. And we'll have to see, obviously the issue is still out there. And then I think also coming down the road somewhere are some major tax increases that they want to get through. And I'm assuming that will be done with a reconciliation approach as well. And we'll have to see when and where that occurs and exactly how bad that will be. There is a possibility that the minimum wage will get compromised in some way. I know there's a proposal by, I think, Senator Cotton of Arkansas to increase it to something like $11 an hour in return for mandatory E-Verify on employers. And, of course, the latter is probably a showstopper for the Democrats, I assume. But remember, these people that are coming through illegally and getting asylum, until their asylum hearing occurs, will be allowed to work. So, anyway, I thought I'd wrap this up, but that's the state of the affairs right now, and we'll just have to keep our eye on what happens next.